When people have a major milestone to celebrate, they usually commemorate it with sparkling wine. And when only the best will do, fine champagne. Why? Bubbles are universally understood. You pop a cork and it's like a party in a bottle. They can be elegant and luxurious, or they can be laid back and fun. Let's talk about what makes champagne the best and most famous sparkling wine in the world, the different styles that are available, and then I'll mention a few other high-quality alternatives. These days, the term champagne is used to loosely describe any wine with bubbles in it. But technically, there's only one. Now, not everybody understands what differentiates real champagne from other sparkling wines, but there are two main factors: geography and history. Now, Champagne is a region in the north of France, just east of Paris. And it's actually so far north that it's almost too cold to make wine here, but that cold climate is the key to what makes champagne sparkle. The soils are also one of a kind. The land here used to be an ancient seabed made of mostly limestone and chalk, which gives the grapes unique qualities and flavors that can't be found anywhere else in the world. The sheer amount of time that the Champenois had to hone their craft is what gave them a head start in the wine world. And you first see wine being made by Roman monks in the 1st century AD, and then in 1690 is when we see the first mention of a sparkling champagne. It was embraced by the British nobility, it was used to celebrate French royal coronations, and it was the house wine for Russian czars. And this is kind of what set the stage for champagne being a luxury wine for the elite. Over the centuries, pioneers in the region used both science and technology to perfect the art of making champagne. And with the advent of global shipping and marketing, major houses like Méthode Champenoise and Paul Rosé touted their wines worldwide to make them the most famous bubbly on the planet. Since the Middle Ages, just 3 grapes have been used in all champagne. First, we have Pinot Noir, which is a red grape, and it gives the wine a lot of body, bumps up the alcohol a little bit, and gives it some red berry flavors. Then there's Chardonnay, which is a white grape, and that usually lends acidity and these citrus flavors. Sometimes people will say it tastes like apples or pears. And then lastly, Pinot Meunier gives the wine this floral characteristic, which makes it very aromatic. So the magic that gives champagne its bubbles is a technique known as the Méthode Champenoise. The wine is actually fermented twice, once outside and once inside the bottle. And this highly controlled second fermentation is what seals the carbon dioxide bubbles in the bottle, giving champagne its superfine, creamy mousse. By law, all champagne has to be sold in the same bottle that it's fermented in. Another factor that elevates champagne is a technique known as sur-lie aging. This is where the wine is allowed to rest with the yeast in the bottle and the two flavors sort of knit together, if you will. And this is what gives champagne its distinct nutty and toasty characteristics. Champagne comes in many different styles and flavors, and every house out there has its own signature style. Non-vintage champagne is the most popular, and it's made with a blend of wines from different years. This blending of wines allows the head winemaker, who's known as the chef du cave, to maintain a consistent house style year after year. And some of these non-vintage champagnes can be made with up to 60 different wines, spanning over 10 different years. Vintage champagnes are produced only in exceptional years and therefore are some of the best and most expensive. All of the wines that go into a bottle of vintage champagne have to come from the same season or the same harvest, and they're required by law to age in the bottle for at least 3 years. So they're going to be very intense and very complex. Most champagnes are made as a blend of the 3 grapes that we described earlier, but they don't have to be. There are champagnes that can be made from 1 or 2 of those grapes. Right here, this is a Blanc de Blanc. Blanc de Blanc literally means white of whites, and it's describing a white wine made from white grapes. In this case, that would be Chardonnay. It is possible to make a white wine from red grapes. In fact, Dom Perignon was the one who perfected the technique in the 1600s. Blanc de Noir is literally a white from blacks. It means a white wine made from black grapes. In this case, that would be Pinot Noir and Pinot Meunier. And Rosé champagnes get their color from extended contact with one or both of the 2 red grapes. So all of these fine details, these nuances, take experience, they take time, and they take labor. And this is what makes champagne the absolute best sparkling wine in the world. But other parts of the world have perfected their own versions. And in some cases, they're as good as fine champagne, and at a fraction of the cost. So if you're into a really good value, or if you're just looking to try something different, I've got a couple of suggestions here for you. In 1531, Benedictine monks in the south of France created a bubbly wine of their own. Now this is Cremant, France's other sparkling wine. Cremant can be made in any one of 8 major winemaking regions in France. The name roughly translates to mean creamy, which describes the texture of the bubbles. Like champagne, it's bottle fermented and also aged sur lie on the yeast. But typically it's made from different regional grapes depending where it comes from. Cava was invented in the 1870s, and this is Spain's homage to fine champagne. It's also bottle fermented and aged sur lie, and it's typically made with 3 grapes that are indigenous to Catalonia. On brunch tables around the world, you'll find Prosecco, which is northern Italy's contribution to the sparkling wine world. Prosecco is made from an Italian grape called Glera. And unlike the others, it's not fermented in the bottle, nor is it bottle aged. So it's typically light, fruity, and less complex too. And this is what makes it much more affordable and so ubiquitous. No matter the occasion, whether you're celebrating a once-in-a-lifetime milestone or a simple Sunday brunch, there's a bubbly for that. For the best in the world, tap into history and savor the creamy mousse of France's OG sparkler, champagne. And for something slightly more accessible but no less in quality, try some Cremant, Cava, or Prosecco. Thanks for drinking with me today, and for more videos like this, subscribe to the WTSO YouTube channel. On behalf of WTSO, I'm Mark Supsick, and for whatever reason you may be celebrating, cheers.